Well, can you see me here? Here, let's see. Let's try this one. Oh, that was the easy one. This is just a standard old Sears Craftsman screwdriver. Don't care what people say, they are making okay screwdriver. Now a little time has transpired since I shut you off, probably about a half an hour. I tried a couple, 3 different screwdrivers, didn't like how they fit. This one, I buzzed the tip down a little bit to make it fit tighter. And if you go to the... That's not good. That one's stuck on there. There we go. Okay, so we got 4 knobs off. You can get a screwdriver at the garage sale for $1 or $2. They're pretty handy tools. They may be a tool you'll never use ever again. You might, make it to fit something, but it'll keep you from spending $20 on a knob you'll never find. This isn't going to be pretty, but there. Sometimes you just gotta get out the chisels and hammers. Okay. So let me back you up a little bit here. Oh, give me strength. What fresh hell is this? You gotta be kidding me. Damn it. Well, that's not cool. Well, it appears hang on. Just trying to... What has happened here is I thought this sub chassis just poked through, and that is not true. That's really sucktastic. Excuse me. Oh, what a mess. This chassis sits in those rubber grommets. They're kind of here. There's one left here. I'll show you when I get this out. This is really badly built. And these switches are pop riveted or riveted to the front. There's 4 switches there. There's an umbilical cable here that hooks them up. So there's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This volume control floats. It's attached to the front, and it's kind of an interesting little mess. And this band switch just goes on through, and it's kind of supported in the back. That's not cool. All that work for nothing. Well, not nothing, but man, how did they make these things? Yuck-o-rama. Okay, it ain't gonna get any. Well, that's what's keeping it in there. The tuning isn't held in there. I guess the only thing to do is to center punch those. Okay, now let's see. Let me get a socket here. That's just a 1/2 inch. I used a deep well just to beat the rush. Voice. I can't tell what these. That's the bands. It's kind of interesting because it's got a slide rule on the bottom and a dial on the top. It's kind of, I don't know. It's starting to grow on me. It's still ugly to see. I might have to put some of the screws in the back in to support this thing while I work on those to get them out of there. Okay, well, I think we're going to stop here. It's getting pretty woogity. I guess not. There must have been a sticker there. See anything else? Now's the time to look around, see if there's anything else that needs lubing up that's going to come apart. Now, just for my own personal documentation, that's the 6 SK7. That's probably that's not even worth taking out, but it's a 6H6. It's probably the detector. This is probably I don't know what this is. It's a rectifier too. That's cool. It doesn't say. Oopsie. Now there's a little lesson to be learned. What that is? It's some kind. Oh, here we go. Wow, that's on the sockets there. That's a 75Z6 GT. It's actually tattooed on there. Okay, then I guess I don't care how these tubes come out. Just make sure they're the right tubes. That's a. I don't know what that is. That's a mess to that. Uh-oh. That's a ballast tube. That's a BK36D. Oh boy. This is probably, I don't know, 25L6. It's just a different voltage. And all these have labels on the sockets, so that's a good deal. That's kind of cool. 6SC7. Interesting. Yeah, where'd the band spreader go? That's a little rough. Yeah, I could use it. Shaft for the band spreader over here is useless junk. It's about corroded through. It's a 6SG7. It's weird. That's just like tin-plated cardboard. It looks like something that a TV dinner would have came in. That's a 6K8 with a big dent in it. May not be any good. And there's some cardboard tubes over these lights. There's some little bumpers up there. Well, let's try again. Well, looks like we got a little light. This is the DC for the tube. So that's about like 40 volts. So it looks like things are moving along. It'd be great if this kind of took off and ran. Yeah, looks like we're getting some DC voltage there. Took a little bit to heat up. Sometimes patience is a virtue when you're doing this. And what's it, like 5/10 of a volt? It's the screamer. That's interesting. We'll back up just a little bit. The DC is jumping around pretty hard. Actually, I backed the thing up enough I lost the dial in. So I'm at about 30 volts, just barely seeing the dial in. Probably every one of these switches is jacked on this thing. Hopefully there isn't a standby switch. I need to look. I'm going to get a real quick peek in here. Yeah, looks like this might have a standby switch. I think this might be it over here. No, it went down quite a bit, so I'm going to take that as... It's kind of weird. It says standby and then on-off. Move over. There's another cap here. So BFO, I think a noise limiter and well, automatic noise limiter. I got a feeling this has got a bad hum to it. Yeah, it's got like 30 volts of hum and 3 volts of DC. Yeah, this is not good shape. Okay. This has had an aftermarket cap tacked in there. Yeah. Maybe. Let me try that there. No, maybe that isn't. I had that still hooked to one of the leads, and maybe it isn't in that bad a shape. Thought it seemed a little high. See, it's got about 10 volts there. Slowly creeping up. That must be the standby. Well, there's about 50 volts on the input of the thing. Poor vacuum formed plastic is just wasted. What I'm going to do about that, I guess make a little bezel and call it good. really climbing fast. I don't know if that's on or off or what that is. Doesn't look good. Well, it could be open circuit. You know, I'm going to back this down and go look real quick. Well, it appears that standby switch actually opens the line to the rectifier tube. So the filaments run when the thing's in standby and then power is applied. So just baby in gear. We'll just let it heat up a little bit more again. It won't hurt anything. Usually these things start coming alive at about 80% of the rated voltage, which would be 80, 90 volts-ish. Doesn't have a lot of DC hum. Or AC hum on the DC. Yeah, that's a little different story there. That's not good. Oh, well, no, never mind. Yeah. This actually has a choke and it has a little pie, power supply filter pie. It's the little filter choke, excuse me, the one of those things you need for the pie circuit. It's the capacitor, and then the choke, and then another capacitor. It's actually a pretty effective circuit. Well, I got about 40 volts. Let's see if we... Well, the tubes are getting warm. That might be the other thing that's slowing the thing down too, is there's not enough filament voltage. Well, that's a good thing too. Actually, those lights on means that ballast tube is working. We saw that earlier. There's kind of a weird ballast tube in there. Those are kind of grumpy customers to issues to deal with. That one's kind of a weird one because it's got the lights in parallel with the two sections of the ballast tube. It's a little unusual, at least from what I've ever seen. How many receivers I've ever dealt with that tube was dead and the receiver's kind of useless junk unless you can figure out some kind of a fix. It's getting up there, 60 volts. Things ought to be starting to fire up a little bit here. Yeah, it's trying to fire up. Everything's got quick tuning. Well, there were about 80 volts on the Variac. Things ought to be starting to warm up here a little bit. I'm kind of surprised that filter cap is still in decent shape. There actually are two in parallel. I assume that great big one is the original one, and that little General Electric one that you can't see. You might be able to see it. I don't know, over here, the little kind of bronze colored one. There's a tiny bit of noise coming out of the speaker.
lucrative thing to do, and it certainly keeps you in the news cycle, and you always have something you can go out and ask people about. This is why polls are so done in so many ways, because it doesn't tell you one thing about truth. It just tells you how many people are embracing.
Well, it looks like we're off to a pretty good start here, even though this baby looks horrible.
It's really, this really tells you how really tough these things are. Not the Echophone in general, but just, you know, be surprised how many old radios I've gotten a hold of that look terrible. And they still work if you can get them cleaned up a little bit. Yeah, maybe a few mutants and zombies and cockroaches left after the A-bomb hits, but I bet there'll be a few working tube radios too.
Pray for the Lord of the harvest to send more out there.
Regardless of age or medical condition, men are performing better than ever with a new FDA device. Imagine from 30 minutes to an hour and a half of full male performance for a very limited time.
Thank you. We really needed to hear that.
Maybe you wanted to.
Well, I suppose we could Tim Fade and see if we can find something up on the bands. I'll be back in a tick here.